All right. Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. We've reached week 12. Please don't jump to week 12 before you do week 10 because this is your first step in creating the film Previz. If you haven't checked out the video, please do. Again, it's all the information is in here. It's cameras, layout, and characters and typos with text in each shot to what's happening. So once you're done that, I give you feedback, and please read the feedback in Moodle. It's very important to move to the second stage. So the second stage is you have 2 weeks to complete this. So week 10 is due next week, April 13, and then hopefully you're done here. You can start week 12 and deliver it in 2 weeks at the 27th. So what's required in week 12? This is everything, all the mocap, all this, the animations from Mixamo into story mode. Your camera should stay the same from the 3D layout. Hopefully everything is good. If you have feedback from me, please apply it before you move on to week 12. All the motion, all characters blending well, no major popping, and good timing. Final cameras too should be in the render. No props needed unless the prop is needed in the shot, like it's an animated car or something that I need to see in the shot. But like swords, like you're throwing something, an apple or something, it doesn't have to be. I can visualize it, but something big as a prop, like a car or something moving, it has to be there because it's not clear at this stage. All motions, all kinds of good blending, no major pops, final camera animation included. Okay, that's 80%. This should be all your stuff in here. If you've forgotten everything about story mode, please go back to week 5 and look at the video. I will be showing you a couple of just a super fast refresher on story mode today, and I will show you a couple more advanced stuff. If you're curious, if you like story mode, you want to work with it, I'll show you a bit more advanced stuff. So it's available for you to use it. Story mode is just about putting clips together, like I did in week 5. But there's more to it. So you can edit the motion and then save it out and import it back to your scene. Okay. So if you remember, this is what I did in week 5, right? This is all in story mode. So if I deactivate story mode, see, they're in T-pose. So you can achieve the same quality with story mode. So what I'll do right now, I'll show you the basics, how I blended these things together, how I made the jump work, and I'll show you a couple more advanced stuff if you want to use it. You don't have to use it, the advanced stuff. You can still use the basics, but if you want, you can use it. So essentially, again, what you have to deliver for week 12 is something like this, but 30 to 60 seconds. Okay, cameras, layout, characters with all the motion in story mode. Okay, good. So I'll simplify things by just opening a new scene to show you a couple things from the Previz here from the Previz folder. Okay, so I'll take I'll show you the basics first. So I'll open up I'll do like a run jump and just show you how to stitch. What do we have here? We have a jump forward, okay? And let's say I want to put a run before that. Run straight, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do, well, let's say he's in T-pose, so I'm gonna just open up the run again with no animation. He's probably gonna go in T-pose. I'll put him to stance. Okay, so now we have just a character in T-pose. I'll insert him as a track, character track. Hopefully everybody remembers that. I'll put the run. Again, I don't see anything because I haven't turned on story mode, so I'll do that right now. And the reason he doesn't move is because the source is still on stance. So I'll just change that to none, which is the character itself or the joints. So now this clip, which has animation on the joints, will move it. Okay. So so let's say I have the run. Now I want to insert the jump forward. So what do we have here? So he's gonna it's fine. I was hoping to get a run from sorry, a jump from run, because now he's gonna slow down a lot. It's fine. So we'll just cut. So let's say I want him to keep running, right? To run, jump, and then land and keep running. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So so he's jumping with both feet. Okay, so I want to pick somewhere in the run cycle where his legs are kind of beside each other. Okay, so I would say the best part is the passing pose, so something like this, right? So I'll cut the clip here for now. I'll move it aside, and then I'll move in the jump. Okay. Okay, so what do we have now? We have the run, and then he pops over there, and then jumps, and then pops back to the run. Okay, so I want to be able to cut all this anticipation, or maybe just keep a little bit of anticipation for the jump, right? So I think as soon as he starts going down, I think that's a good enough frame to anticipate, so I'll use that. And then I want to match the run, right? So I want to match, let's say in my layout he's running diagonally, okay? So I want to be able to match his position and rotation in the layout like this. So if you guys remember, what do? We select the clip that we do want to match. You go match, you pick the hips, always the hips, because this is the center of the action, the center of mass. I want to match to previous clip at the end of the previous clip, so we're here. And I want to match translation and rotation. Okay, and I click OK. So now what happens is he moves, but his rotation is kind of off because I think there was probably the hips had a rotation like this, so it kind of put him in a weird rotation, like a 20-degree offset. So we can correct this easily by, if you guys remember this little icon here, if you click on it, you will see a skeleton ghost. So these are all the clips. So the red one, it's gonna crash. So the yellow one is here and the green one is here. That's weird, I don't see it. Oh, we don't see it because it's part of the first clip. Doesn't matter. So this is just visual. I wouldn't focus on you because it's a little bit confusing. But I'm just explaining it to you what they are. Okay. So what do we want to do? You can actually hide these. So if you go and display models, you can just hide it. Just make sure this one is on because otherwise you won't be able to move or rotate the clip. Okay. So as you can see, if you select the clip, the pivot will change. Okay. You know what? I'm just going to turn it on for a little bit to show you what's these clips, how you rotate them. So these clips, the pivot point is at the beginning of the clip. Okay. So this is why you can take it and rotate it in here. If you select this clip, oh, I'm having a hard time selecting. If you select this clip, the pivot will jump from here to here because the pivot point is at the beginning of this clip. Okay, so just pay attention what you move, and make sure your frame is where the clip is. Otherwise, you're going to be moving the clip blindly. Okay, so I've selected this clip. I'll rotate it a bit to match the trajectory. You kind of have a small trajectory of the beginning and last frame. So you can kind of estimate where he's going to end up. Okay, so you could just rotate it to match the same line of the run. And then we can turn it off. We don't need it anymore. Okay, so what happens is, he pops, which is okay. And then he jumps and lands. So we can take this now and just blend it over, right? So blend it over to have a better transition. He really stops abruptly. I think it would have been better to add a run stop before that, because as you can see, he's like almost hitting a wall. So if you're doing something similar, try to add a run stop before he jumps. Otherwise, it's gonna look super weird, like I did. I won't add it because I don't want to take too much of your time. What I want to show you here is as well, how do you tweak this clip, for example, to make him go further. Okay, so let's say you want him to jump 2 meters, so like you want him to land here. Okay, so what you could do is you can cut the clip here, the jump, and then move this clip. Could try changing to local. No, that doesn't do anything. Sometimes local gives you a better pivot, but it doesn't really matter. So I like to move this because the character is going diagonally. You don't want to move it like this. You want to move it in the top view. to stay kind of in the same line of the run. So you move him a meter further, right? And now what happens is, of course, he pops, right? So what you could do here at this stage, you can take, so before I blended the whole clip backwards with the run. So what you could do here is you can just blend the new frame, the new position of this frame into the previous clip. So what you do, you just take the corner, select the corner, these little yellow the corners, and just drag it backwards. So what's going to happen now? Now it's starting to blend. Okay, it's starting to blend with this, like from 0 to 100. It's starting to blend with the previous, sorry, it's going to blend into that new pose. Okay, so this is how you blend just one frame. You just drag the corners into the previous or into the next. Okay, so you can play with the how much it blends, right? You don't have to do the same thing as I'm doing. It will give you a different result. Normally you want to start blending when both feet are in the air, for the takeoff, right? And if you want to stretch further, you just cut and do the same thing. You want the jump to stretch further. So so we don't need the whole saddle here, so we're gonna probably cut it as well. So you have two ways of cutting. You either use the razor or you just take the end and just cut it like this. Because what I want to do now, I want to blend it back into the run. So the run is popping back there. What do we want to do? We want to match the end of the jump using the hips. Now, I don't want to use rotation because his rotation is already good from there because he's running on a straight line, right? So I just take off rotation and I click OK. So now the first frame, the whole clip has moved. Boom. So what we can do, we can start, or we can do two things. You can either try to blend into the run, see how that feels. It's not that bad. There you go. Again, it's the same problem. It's better to use a run start because a run start, he starts from 0 velocity, from an idle. So it would have been a lot better for a transition. Okay. So don't do the same thing I did. Don't blend. Velocity is super important. You always, if you're coming from like a jump to almost a stop, you need a start run or stop run at the end or at the beginning of the jump. Okay. So I believe this covers the basics I showed you in week 5. So how to match, how to blend, two kinds of blending. You can blend the whole clip or you can blend the frame to get the sequences, and how to split a clip and move it in space to get a different displacement. Okay, so these are the basics. What I'd like to show you now, a couple more advanced stuff. So I'll start with showing you how to blend two motions together, okay, to get a different result. For example, So let's say we have a walk forward, walk straight. By the way, these clips are all in your Motionbuilder. If you look in the previous moves, everything's there. Okay, so we have this long walk cycle, and let's say I want my character to wave. Okay, I want my character to wave as he's walking. So you can keyframe it after in polish, or you can search for something on Mixamo or in the previous moves or in the samples folder. If you remember the stuff I showed you last week, you get some stuff here. You can search for a wave animation. Okay, so if you find what you're looking for example, wave hello, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so he's waving on the spot with the right hand. Okay, so you're saying to yourself, how do I mix the walk? If I want my character to walk and wave, how do I mix this? Okay, so my Motionbuilder, as you know, has these tracks. So each track, by default, comes with a full body. It's a full body track. But you can create another track and layer it on top of this track and just use one arm. Okay, so how do we do this? I just noticed I'm in time code. So if for whatever reason your Motionbuilder is in time code, is in seconds, you can change it by going here. Sorry about that. You can change it by right-clicking on the timeline, time, and show as frames. Okay. So I'll create another track. So a quick tip is you can copy paste this track. So you can go Control C, Control V. So you copy the same track with the same animation. Okay. So I'm just going to delete this because I don't need two walks. By the way, the bottom track is always on top of this track. Okay, so it's downwards. It's not like this one plays the most important one. It's downwards. So this one goes on top. So if I put it the wave here, as you can see, he starts waving, and then once that clip finishes, he starts. Oh, he should start walking here, but he's at 100%. So if I put this at 50, by the way, if you don't see this information, it's probably because your track is like this. So just expand it, and you will see these options. So as you can see, if I put this at whatever 50%, so he's doing a half walk, half wave, but it has all the body parts. So I'm gonna deactivate all of them and just put the right hand. So what's gonna happen now? He's gonna walk 100% of this while playing only the right arm at 47%, the weight of it. That's why the hand is lower. Okay, so if I crank that up to 100, it's gonna play 100% of the animation. So this is a percentage of the animation of this clip. Okay, sorry I didn't explain it well. So now what you have is you have a walk and you have a wave only on the right arm. Beautiful, right? So how do I get this into my scene? So if you're happy with the result, so the before I bake it, you have the option to move this clip too, right? If you want him to wave later or earlier, just move the clip, and it's very visual, right? So you can even, let's say here, see when he drops his arm, it becomes super stiff. So what you could do is, as soon as the arm is low, you could just trim it, right? And you can animate the percentage of it, okay? Because you want him to keep continuing with the walk upstairs. So what you do is, so you want to, as soon as he starts dropping down, you key the weight of the clip of the animation at 100, and as he's dropping down, you key it to 0. So now what happens? He goes back to walking. Why? Because this track, or the weight of this animation, is at 0. So now it's playing the top one, because this is not affecting anymore because it's at 0. Same thing in the beginning. You can so let's say this is the highest where he starts waving. You key here, and then you go down and you put it to 0. If you want to see the curve of the weight of this track, you have to select the track, go in Properties, and select it here, and then go in F-curves. No, I apologize. It actually, if you go in F-curves, it hides it. So if you want to see the keys or the curve, see, by just selecting in the properties, selecting the weight, you start seeing the keys here on the timeline. But if you want to see the curve, you'll have to open another F-curve. Okay, so you go in Window, F-curve. Unfortunately, that's the only way. So now you can make it linear. By default, it's auto, because here the type of key is auto, so it will always be smooth or automatic. Okay, so you're asking how do I put this in my assembly. So I highly suggest doing these kind of things, the advanced stuff like blending two clips, in a separate file, and then baking it to skeleton, and then importing it in your film, in your assembly, or with the layout and everything. Because if you start doing this in your assembly file, it's gonna get super messy super fast. I don't recommend this at all. So you can do it in another file on the same character, preferably, because if you do it on another character, you might get some retargeting issues. So let's say I want to save this out. So I bake. So I have 167 frames, and I bake to skeleton. So now if I deactivate story mode, he should be walking and waving. Okay, so now I can save this clip, animation clips. I'll call it walk wave clip. The reason I save it a clip, I will tell you in 1 second. Is because know what? I'll open up another Motionbuilder just in case. So the reason is I saving it as a clip is because these clips in story mode, they're called clips, they're animation clips, because when you go insert animation file, one second, or export animation, see it says clip, create clip, export clip, or import clip. So it's always called clip in the menu. Actually, I don't need to open another Motionbuilder. I'm gonna import it right here. Okay, so if I go insert animation file, wave, walk wave clip, right? So now, see, that's the clip that I just saved. So you bake the skeleton and then you go file, save as a clip, and you import it into your assembly scene. Okay, so that's how you layer stuff. I was going to show you a couple more things. Let me check my notes. All right, so I remembered a couple more things to show you. So let's say you have this animation that we just did. I'm gonna delete this track because I don't need it anymore. So let's say in your Previz, whoops, jumped ahead a little bit. So let's say in your Previz, you want him to wave with the left arm, okay? But you don't find the left arm mocap or for whatever reason. You found only the right arm. So in story mode, you can mirror anything. You can mirror any clip using the actually whatever axis you can mirror. You have the option to mirror it. So in able to mirror it, you need to select the clip. First of all, it has to be saved. It has to be saved locally. Okay. So like all these files here, all these files have been saved locally on the hard drives. The same thing with the Mixamo. When you download the Mixamo clips and you save it out as different takes, they will be saved locally, so you're good. So let's say, I'll choose another example for now. So let's say I have this jab, okay? But I want him to jab with the right arm. So all you need to do is select the clip, go in properties, and click on mirror. Now mirroring X and Y, X and Y. Let's choose another axis. So if we choose Y, no, Y and Z, let's see. Mirror. Oh yeah, okay, that works. Okay, so depending on the axis that you have, so again, the axis is the world axis, okay? Because we had, the first one was X and Y, that's why it was flipping 180. But if you choose, depending on the facing of your viewport, facing of your axis, you can choose whatever. So if you, I believe if you put this clip, sorry, I haven't used the mirror in a long time. That's why I'm kind of experimenting with it now. So the reason it popped, I think, a little bit to the side is because he's not at 0, 0. So let me see, if I put it to 0, 0, I don't know why the pivot is over there. It should be, okay, let me go back to stance. So stance is at 0, 0. Go back to skeleton. Ooh. Oh, because we baked, that's why. That might have something to do with it. Okay, so the pivot is off a little bit because we have an animation underneath. But what we could do, we can make another take without. We can make another take without an animation. Switch to stance and then switch back to none, and we're in business. Okay. So I'm going to import the jab. So now the pivot is correct. So now if I select the clip, go in properties, I want to mirror on the Y and Z. So I just want him to flip sides. So Y and Z. And now if I press play, whoops, forgot to mirror. He still does it. I don't know why. Anyways, it's not a huge deal. You can just move him back to 0, 0 if you need to, you know. But you probably better to move it in the layout. So don't move it. You don't have to move it here. So now he's jabbing with the right. That's what we want. Again, it's the same thing. You can bake to skeleton, turn off story, make sure he's playing the right animation, 0 to 63, and save it out. Jab, right, clip. So I have 2 takes. I just want to save take 2. Always save, when you're saving clips to import into story mode, more than 1 take is not a good. It's not good. So it will never know which take to take. Okay, so insert animation. Let's try to import that. Put on story mode and see if it plays correctly. It plays correctly. See? So that's how you mirror. Another tip, you can reverse animations. So let's see if I have like something like sit to stand or stand to sit or something like that. Sit to stand, there you go. I will create another empty take, copy, no, I don't want to copy. Go in stance, go back in joints, and put that sit to stand. So let's say I have this animation. Let's say I can't find stand to sit. There's actually one. There's actually one here, but for example, this is just an example. Let's say you don't find it, and you want to use the same animation but just reverse it. So how do you do this? Again, you select the clip, you go in properties, and there's a section here called time warp. Okay, all you need to do is go down to time warp and click on reverse. See, he's sitting and then he's standing. So if you click reverse, he starts standing and then sitting. So you just reverse the animation, and then you bake to skeleton, you save it, and you use it in your scene. So mirror and reverse is really cool if you want to quick clips that you can't find. Think of actions like sitting, opening a door. It could turn into closing a door super quick. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is you can actually change poses in story mode. Again, it's pretty advanced. I didn't show you this earlier because it's a little bit too much. So I'll show you how to do it. Again, I highly recommend don't do this in your assembly file, you know, where the layout is and the camera is, because it's gonna get super messy super fast. So do this separately on the same character you have in your assembly file, and then bake it out to skeleton, and then import it as a clip in the story mode. Okay, so I want to use probably the jump. Let's still use the jump. It's the same exercise. Jump forward. So he's a little bit off to the side for I don't know for what reason. So I'm gonna put this at 0, 0 just to be in the center of this of the viewport. And I want to show you, for example, I want to. So you can do whatever you want in this. So you can, let's say, I want to exaggerate the up pose, the apex of the jump. Okay. Right now it's pretty symmetrical. So able to do this, if you want to change the pose, you need the control rig on. Okay, so we need to change the source from none to control rig. This guy doesn't have a control rig, so we'll just create it super fast. And hopefully this works. I haven't done this in a while, so let's try. So able to change the pose of this clip, you will need to add a sub-track of this track. So right-click, insert, sub-track. You create a character additive. Okay? I think. Let's try. So it will create a sub-track. The distinction is the line, so if you can minimize it and open it, right? So that's how you know it's a subtract of this. Okay. So able to start keyframing on this track. Right now it's empty; it doesn't have anything. So able to keyframe inside story mode on this subtrack, you'll need to activate this little thing here. See, it says accept keys. So you turn that on, and then you can start keyframing. So you select the control rig, you press key, and you will, as soon as you press key, you will see a pose, okay, that you can move as a clip. So so let's say I don't want to touch this pose, the takeoff pose. I press key again, and I go to this key or the landing pose, and I press key again, so I know this key and this key is untouched. So I go to this key, and for example, let's say I want him a little bit higher. And maybe a little bit further. So as you can see, he's jumping further. So what do I do? Let's say I went too far. I want to see what the original looked like. You can just mute it, and you will see what's on this track right away. So this is what that stop button is. It's a mute button. So you can do whatever you want here. You can change the pose. You can go on body part and, you know, exaggerate or make him stretch and squash more. You know, you can take the spine, bring it in, and you can, let's say, make the arms higher, whatever you want to do. Cool. So I go in full body again. I press key to make sure it's a full body key. Whoop. So there's a problem now with this key that I did. He's going backwards. So you could just delete it from here, hopefully. Not like that. So I think the best way to delete it is you select the clip and you just select it in the timeline and delete. So as you can see, this pose now is it's clipping, it's going back. So all you need to do is extend the clip, and whatever modifications you did here will apply here. Okay, and you can stretch it all the way till the end. So as you can see, he still maintains those offsets that you put here. So how do you want him? How can I make him go back to let's say this default pose that you have, that is pretty straight here? So the best way to do this is through pose control. Okay, so what is pose control? This is a combination. I'm going to show you a combination of story mode and pose control. So you mute the subtrack, you go to the frame that you like, which is this neutral pose. You create a pose, and then you turn on the subtrack again. Okay, so as you can see, he's floating too, because the legs on this frame, they're higher, right? So that's why he's floating. So actually, I'm gonna try something super before I show you the pose control, which is gonna confuse everybody. No, unfortunately, no, that doesn't work. Actually, I created a incorrect pose, so I'm actually gonna create a pose as soon as he lands, because I want those feet to be touching the ground. So I'm gonna create this pose, turn back on the layer, and now if I paste it, oh, it's not bad, it keeps the same. Okay, I'm not gonna get into this. These are on by default, keep them. If you're curious what it is, I can show you in class. I'm not gonna go, I'm already close to the hour. Yeah. So create the pose with the subtract off, and then paste it. You just double click on it and then keep. So now what happens, this is the same pose, but with the displacement forward that we added on this key. I'll explain why this happens, because I'm pasting the pose that's on this track while matching the new pose forward. Okay, I know it's a little bit advanced. If you're curious, I can explain it more in depth in class. So look at the difference. So if you mute, that jump is very mocappy, very lame. If you turn on the subtract with the pose that we just did, you can see it's a lot more energetic. You lost the keys here because you have nothing selected. So as soon as you select body part, you have the keys back. You can move these either in the timeline or in here. Probably better in the timeline if you want. Okay, cool. So this is how you change poses in story mode. You need to create a subtrack, do your modifications, and then it's the usual bake to skeleton. Turn off story mode. Excuse me. Check everything is there. Save it and load it in your assembly file. Okay, that's it. I'll stop right here. Use these advanced tips if you like, or if you want to stick to the basics, I don't mind, but I showed you just in case you need, you would like to change things, and you know, it's available, it's there, it's in the software if you need it. So again, what for in week 12, week 12 Previz assembly story mode is all the clips, all the animation clips from Mixamo, or if you want to use the mocap room, you could. Or the third and fourth option is either keyframe, or you can use this site, Deep Motion. So Deep Motion enables you to record with your cell phone and upload it to this website and create a 3D FBX. So if anybody is curious, I can send them the video. I have a video about that from last year. Or you can search for let me see what the name of the video is. It is called Deep Motion to Motionbuilder. Just search for Deep Motion to Motionbuilder. And it's this one, the first one should show up. So I show you how to upload, some tips how to capture, and how to clean it once you get the FBX. Again, these are all options for you. You can use Mixamo, you can use the mocap room, Deep Motion, or keyframe it, which is going to take a long time. So this is what I'm looking for. Okay, 30 to 60 seconds. Nice continuous motion, no pops, no slowdowns. This should be your blocking stage of the film. Okay, blocking with full animations, right? Good. I won't see you next week, like I mentioned, but I will see you the week after, which is the 20th. Good. Let me know if you need anything. Mayo, if you get stuck, really stuck, we can maybe Zoom by appointment only, because I'm not available all the time. All right, guys, hope you have a good week, and I will see you in class.